Hello students, this is Latif sir. Today I'll discuss about ICC class 8 chemistry. The topic is elements, compound and mixture. Today I'll discuss about compounds. In the previous video I have already discussed about elements and I told that there are two types of pure substances. One is element and another is compound. Today I'll discuss about compounds. Let's start. What is a compound? Compounds are pure substances. Compounds are pure substances that are formed when two or more elements combine chemically in definite proportion. So, pure substances that are formed when two or more substances combine chemically in a definite proportion are called compounds. For example, water is a compound. Water is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen. When hydrogen and oxygen combine uh, in 2:1 ratio, they will form water molecule. So water is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen, and the fixed proportion of chemical combination between hydrogen and oxygen to form water is 2:1. Okay. So accordingly, the molecules of compounds consist of two or more different types of atoms in definite proportion. And the atoms in a molecule of compounds are held together by chemical bond. The atoms in a molecule of compounds are held together by chemical bonds. Example of compounds: water is a compound, carbon dioxide is a compound, glucose, limestone CaCO3, glucose C6H12O6, common salt NaCl, all are this example. All these are examples of compounds. Okay. A compound has unique properties that are different from the properties of individual element. This is an important point. You have to remember that the properties of a compounds are different from the properties of constituent elements. Okay, understand. Let us understand this with the help of following examples. Water is a liquid. Water is a liquid while its constituent elements hydrogen and oxygen are gases. We know water is a compound, which is a liquid while its constituent elements hydrogen and oxygen are gases. Further, water is used for extinguishing fires, while hydrogen is a combustible gas and oxygen is a supporter of combustion. So from this example of water, it is clear that properties of water are different from the properties of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so in general, you can say the properties of a compound are different from the properties of its constituent elements. Okay, I have told that the atoms in a compounds are held together by chemical bonds. Okay, and depending on the types of chemical bonds between the atoms, compound can be two different types. One is electrovalent or ionic compounds, another is covalent compounds. So, two types of compounds are electrovalent or ionic compounds, and another is covalent compounds. We will learn about this later in the in class 10 level. You will learn about electrovalent compound, covalent compound. Okay. Now, mixture, impure substances or mixture. A mixture is made up of two or more pure substances. The substances may be elements or compounds or both that are not chemically combined. You have to remember, in a mixture, the mixture is made up of two or more pure substances that may be elements or compounds or both, but they are not chemically combined. But in case of compounds, the constituent elements of compounds are chemically combined. Okay. Therefore, the substances or components that make up a mixture retain their individual properties because the components of a mixture are not chemically combined. Therefore, they can retain their properties, individual properties in the mixture. Okay. Example of mixture: salt solution is a mixture of table salt, and water. Dough is a mixture of flour and water. So air is a mixture also is air is a mixture of several gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen, nitrogen, uh, oxygen, and dust particles, germs, etc. These are all example of some mixture, common example of mixture. Like similarly, milk, food, ice cream, etc. These all are example of mixture. Okay. Now characteristics of a mixture. Next one is characteristic of a mixture. A mixture does not have a definite composition. Hence, it cannot be represented by chemical formula. While you can represent uh, a molecule of a compound, because the constituent particles combine to form a compound in a fixed proportion. That's why you can represent a molecule of a compound by some chemical formula. But a mixture does not have any definite proportion or definite composition. Hence, it cannot be represented by a chemical formula. Second point, a mixture does not have specific boiling and melting points, a characteristic color, odor, or taste. A mixture does not have a specific boiling and melting points, a characteristic color, odor, and or taste. The proportion or the amount of the components decide the physical properties like melting and boiling point, color, odor, taste, etc. of the mixture. Next one, the components of mixture can be separated by physical method as it is formed by little or no involvement of energy. Okay, so the component of a mixture can be separated by using some physical methods, okay, like uh, sedimentation, filtration, evaporation, magnetic separation. By using this type of physical method you can separate components of mixture, but you can't separate components of a compound because the components of a compound are chemically combined. That's why separate you can't separate the mixture components of a compound using physical method, while you can separate the components of a mixture using uh, different type of physical methods. Next one, mixture may be homogeneous, that is uniform, or heterogeneous, that is non-uniform. Okay, homogeneous means uniform, and heterogeneous means non-uniform. Mixture are two types: homogeneous and heterogeneous. Example of mixture: table salt in water. Second, water in flour. So these are example of mixture. Now difference between pure and impure substances. Pure substance here, pure substances means elements or compounds, and impure substance means mixture. Okay, so you have to read about the uh, now you have to read about the comparison of pure and impure substances. So first point, pure substance. Pure substances, they are either an element or a compound. Pure substances, they are either an element or a compound. But impure substances, they are a combination of elements or compound or both. Impure substances are they are combination of element or compounds or both. Second point, pure substances, they can be represented by a chemical formula. I have told that. But impure substances, that is mixture, the impure substances cannot be represented by a chemical formula. So impure substances cannot be represented by a chemical formula. Next one, pure substances, they are always homogeneous, but impure substances, they may be homogeneous or heterogeneous, that is uniform or non-uniform. Next point, pure substances, they have fixed composition, but impure substances, they don't have fixed composition. The composition of impure substances may vary. Next one, Pure substances cannot be separated by physical means, but impure substances or mixture component of impure substances or mixture can be separated by physical means, by physical methods. Okay. Next point, pure substances, their components lose their identity, while in case of impure substances, their components retain their identity. Example of pure substances: silver, copper, sodium, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, sodium chloride, water, etc. Example of pure substances. While example of impure substances are tap water, air, sea water, milk, honey, sex, uh, and food, ornamental gold, steel, etc. Okay, thank you.